Hello, my name is Levi, just like your jeans, and, well, as the title of the video suggests, I'm going to talk about some inconsistencies in the Jehovah's Witness doctrine, more particularly the doctrine that the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society feeds them. What I'm talking about actually has nothing to do with my screen at the moment. That is a Watchtower proclaiming one of their many false prophecies that will come in later videos. I'm not discussing that at the moment. I'm going to discuss something a little different. It has to do with the Trinity. But I decided it was a nice thing to start off the video with. But first off, I want to let you know that I don't think Jehovah's Witnesses themselves are evil or stupid or any of the above. I honestly think that Jehovah's Witness, the people themselves that are, Jehovah's Witnesses that go to the Kingdom Halls, that come to your door and call on you, they work very hard to go out in service, sometimes in very questionable weather, and they honestly think they're doing the right thing, and most of them are very good people, very kind-hearted, and they teach their children good morals. So I have nothing to say bad about Jehovah's Witnesses as people. I don't think that they're evil. The Watchtower Bible and Tract Society, on the other hand, I do think that they're evil. So I'm going to talk about all of the false doctrines that they shove down the throats of Jehovah's Witnesses, who unfortunately are either so indoctrinated that they don't see anything else, or they are so naive that they will believe anything that the Watchtower says. Some of these things, granted, take a little bit of research, and the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society kind of doesn't like that whole research thing, especially if you don't use things like the Watchtower or Awake. But I am going to try and use their sources as much as possible for this. Now, the video today, I'm going to talk about John 1:1. Now, if I look up John 1:1, I'm going to go to this place here. You'll see their website, bible.cc. It gives you many translations from many Bibles. Now, all of these translations that you're about to see, all 15, 20 of them, however many there are, all say the same thing. John 1:1 says, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God." This is the key thing we're going to look at today, was God. Well, the Word is Jesus Christ. John is one of the Gospels. The entire book is about Jesus Christ. So in the beginning was Jesus Christ, and Jesus Christ was with God, and Jesus Christ was God, is what this is saying. All of the translations say was God. Sometimes you'll get one, God, and that Word was himself, God. You'll get a different translation there, but all of them say was God, you'll notice here. Now, I'm going to use the Kingdom Interlinear translation of the Greek Scriptures. Unfortunately, this book is out of print, but this you used to be able to get it from the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society. It's the interlinear version of their New Testament, which is the New World Translation of the Bible. You can get it nowadays on places like Amazon, but as you might see here, they can be relatively expensive since they are out of print. So this is the translation I will be looking at, considering that this is the New World Translation, the Bible that the Jehovah's Witnesses use. And first of all, an interlinear, I may be mispronouncing that, it might be interlinear, however you'd like to say it. You say tomato, I say tomato. And an interlinear version is the actual language. This is Greek, the things you can't understand at the top, and the stuff below is a direct word-for-word translation. Now, that doesn't always translate into how we would say things in the English language, so over here on the side, it's been translated. This is what the New World Translation of the Bible says, and this is where they got it from. Now, let's look at the word-for-word translation of this. In beginning was the Word. And the Word was towards the God, and God was the Word. That's a direct word-for-word translation. Now, of course, towards is we're translating as with, but all of the translations agree on that. The thing they don't agree on is if you look over here, and the New World Translation, instead of saying the Word was God, or God was the Word, It says, and the Word was a God. Why the change? The rest of the translations of the world obviously say the Word was God, meaning that Jesus was God, or was the essence of God, was the same thing. So, the question is, why'd they change it? Well, there's a little A next to the word God here, and they explain it. A God in contrast with the God. See appendix under John 1:1. Well, they have an appendix at the end of this Bible that explains that in great detail. I'm going to paraphrase it. Notice that when it says the Word, there's this symbol here. That's a definitive pronoun. In the Greek language, they use that to say something definitive. Like if it was the God, it was referring to the one and only true God. If it was just God, it could ambiguously be stating other gods, gods of the world. And so we have the Word, so it's definitive, and the God. In front of this God, it doesn't have a definitive pronoun. So, and the Greek language doesn't have the word a in it, so that was obviously added. But their reasoning is, because it doesn't have a definitive pronoun, this God is not the same as that God. This is a God, and that is the God. Well, if somebody was to bring that to me, I'd go, wow, that's kind of interesting. Does it check out? Well, if that's the rule you're going to make, you have to continually use that rule. So, do they continually use that rule? Well, let's check it out. Let's still use the book John, and let's go a page down here. Let's find another God, shall we? Oh, God's children. Then he gave authority to become God's children. Now, there's no doubt when we're talking about this here, we're talking about the same God, the one and only true God. So let's look at the interlinear part, and as you notice, he gave to them authority, children of God. There is no definitive pronoun, but it's obvious. It's not a God. He's talking about the God. Well, there's one instance. Let's see if there's another. Let's just look down the column here for the word God. Oh, I'm sure there's a God there. So this is verse 18. What does it say? No man has seen God at any time. Uh-oh. There's no definitive pronoun. But we're pretty darn sure that this one is talking about the one and only true God here in John 1, verse 18. As a matter of fact, there's an article here which is comparing the word God and the definitive article. By the way, the website up here, which I'm sure you can see, ntgreek.org, if you want to check this out and double check what I'm saying here if you prefer to. It basically says that the word God is used 12 times in the first chapter of John, and half of those, they don't have the definitive article. So if we're going to translate it here as a God, if they don't have a definitive article, shouldn't we translate all of them as a God? Well, we can't, because it doesn't make sense. We obviously know what God they're talking about. So, why would you put it here? Well, I can tell you the reason why they put it here, because, well, they don't teach the Trinity, and this kind of screws up that whole Jesus is not God type thing, because, well, it explicitly says that Jesus is God. But if we say he's a God, they still get to maintain that belief. Unfortunately, that makes Jesus a demigod, or the Diet Coke God. He's not quite Coca-Cola, but he's almost there. Tastes the same, I suppose. Oh wait, no, Diet Coke doesn't taste the same. Either way, that, though, then they claim to be a monotheistic religion. That's having one God. If Jesus is a demigod, then you have a polytheistic religion, and that kind of throws your whole doctrine of being a Christian out of the window as well. And not to mention the fact, let's look a little bit more into this definitive pronoun thing. This entire same website up here, NT Greek's a different article, but it's answering that question about this scripture and why it can be so confusing. And this part, the lack of Greek definitive article, I know it's a lot of reading. I'm not going to read the whole thing to you. You can go and look it up for yourself. But it's basically saying that Greek doesn't operate the same way that the English language does grammatically. There's some instances where the word the appears in there, and it wouldn't make sense in the English language to put the word the in there. So we have to take it out when we translate it. And in some other cases, the definitive article, we have to add it in when it's not there because it doesn't make sense otherwise. There is a way, let's say, for example, it is a God. Is there a way that if John was trying to make it, it would be important to make that distinction if he wasn't God. So is there a way that he could have done that in the Greek language? Well, it turns out there is. There's this little word here, tis. I'm sure that those aren't the letters. They're written in Greek letters. But in that word is an indefinite pronoun. So if I was to say, tis God, it would mean a God, basically. It would be an indefinite pronoun, God. Could mean anything, or any God. So, if it was that important that Jesus was not God, he could have added the word tis God, and that would have directly translates to, and the word was a God. Other than that, we have no reason to put this a in here. It means the word was God. And there's no way really around that. If you know a way around that, you can leave a comment down below. But we have basically shown that the New World Translation, in at least this one instance, is flawed greatly. And so if it's flawed in one instance, if you're a Jehovah's Witness, ask yourself, if there's one flaw in this Bible, one blatant flaw, a big one as a matter of fact, is there others? Maybe you should look it up for yourself, or wait for my other videos to come. Now, I will say that, yes, in case you were wondering, I used to be a Jehovah's Witness for 17 years. And if you're a Jehovah's Witness listening to this, no, I was not disfellowshipped or thrown out of the religion for any reason. I was a baptized Jehovah's Witness, though. And so, in other words, I don't fit the category of I was thrown out or disfellowshipped, so I'm angry and pissed off. That's not the case. It was actually the other way around. I purposely left because I found many inconsistencies in their doctrines, and when me and my family came to the elders with these questions, they said that we should basically stop asking questions. Now, it's an important thing. If you are in the truth, as they call it, there's one important fact about truth, and that is that you can't prove it wrong if it's truth. And so when I came up with these questions and they couldn't answer that, and they basically said, stop thinking about it, stop researching, that's kind of a red flag. So I left the organization, and I'm not pissed off because they threw me out. I'm upset because of false doctrine that they teach people, and that people alter their lives and believe it with all of their hearts. At the moment, though, if you are a Jehovah's Witness and you're still watching, research, or wait for my next videos, or leave me an angry comment and prove me wrong in the comments. If you have something that basically says everything I said is false, I'll read the comment, I'll do the research, and I will answer your question to the best of my ability. I thank you very much for watching the video, and more to come. Thank you again.